Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and yeah, we're going to talk about Amazon again today. Now, I'm getting some comments, so I think we should actually address this before we get too far into this. People saying that they're getting a little tired of the Amazon content. Like, what's going on with Uber and Lyft? Why aren't you talking about them? And here's the reason why. First of all, I have stated this again and again and again. This is not an Uber and Lyft channel. This is a gig economy / app channel. We talk about apps all around. Now, granted, I finally caved. I moved the streaming content about Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu to the vlog channel. So if you want to do streaming videos, you go to Apptrepreneur Vlogs. However, Amazon is still very relevant to the gig economy, especially as they continue to encroach on it with Amazon Flex. And here's the thing, I've got bigger problems with Amazon than I do Uber. I truly do. But here's the other reason we're talking about Amazon a lot. Not only do I think it's important to talk about Amazon, Uber and Lyft are dead in the water right now. They're not doing anything. There's very little to talk about. I mean, some people say they want me to do videos about unemployment claims. You know what? Again, Dustin, Real Rideshare Stories, they are doing those videos. They're doing them beautifully. I can't compete with that. I mean, I could, but I don't want to. I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to do the unique thing. And you know what? These are the kind of stories that we need to talk about, especially since Amazon is becoming more and more powerful, and they're actually not suffering during this pandemic. Now, I normally say, well, good for you that you're not hurting during the pandemic, but it really speaks something when every single multi-billionaire in the world, or billionaire, I should say, is suffering from this pandemic, losing money, except for Jeff Bezos. That speaks a lot about the control Amazon has. And I think you viewers would want to know this because a lot of people who are watching do work for the warehouses, and you are acutely aware that the safety measures from Amazon are not what they said they were going to be. I tried to give them credit. I thought they were doing a good job. I thought they were responding properly, but now it turned out they weren't really doing that. They weren't scanning people for the virus or anything like that. Now they're sending people home early if they have a temperature, but they're docking their pay, which I don't believe they should be doing. Asking for a doctor's note, knowing very well that you can't get a doctor's note right now. Doctors are not going to see you unless it's crucial. So Amazon is doing a lot of really shady things that we need to call out. But here's the thing. They fired a guy who organized a strike. Now they spun it in a way where it's like, well, he came in with a virus and he contacted people, so he put people's lives at risk. But the reality is, no, he brought this situation. Maybe he got it, but maybe he brought it up because he got the virus at Amazon and said, hey, Amazon didn't really protect me. I think they need to do more and organize a strike. And Amazon's like, well, you had it, so you're going to get fired. And it's like, no. And look, if you watch the video that I did about the leaked memo, they knew what they were doing was wrong, and they were going to try to smear him, and it didn't work because the memo leaked. Well, guess what? The Amazon worker who's been fired says the company isn't being honest about the number of the C virus cases and is planning a new strike, which is what you do when you want to get attention. So here's according to Newsweek. And we'll close this video. A former Amazon.com worker who was recently fired from the company planned a strike for Monday. Let's see, what day did this come out? This came out on 4/6, so this is, the strike may have already happened. According to WABC TV in New York City, Chris Smalls, the fired Amazon worker, recently sent a text message announcing the protest. Smalls was recently fired after protesting the company's C virus safety precautions in a New York City warehouse. Amazon has said that he was fired for violating the company's quarantine policies during the C virus pandemic, even though, Amazon isn't really following the safety measures they put themselves. Like, they're not the policies that they put in place themselves. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to provide masks, we're going to provide hand sanitizer, we're going to encourage social distancing. That they have not put into effect. So, but of course they can fire him. They fired him because they made him look bad. Anyway, Smalls text planned for a protest on Monday at Amazon Staten Island facility, which is home to 4,000 staffers. Smalls was formerly an assistant manager at the facility, so it's not even just a low-level employee, it was assistant manager. Smalls' planned protest comes shortly after he organized a one-day walkout at the Staten Island facility after criticizing the company's handling of the pandemic in regard to its workers. Smalls has said the company is not being honest with its reported number of C virus cases. After Amazon said that only one worker had tested positive at the Staten Island warehouse, Smalls said, that's a bold-faced lie because I sent home the third case directly. Smalls is becoming a very powerful opponent for Amazon, someone who worked in the building, someone who dealt some of these cases, someone who saw some of the corruption head first, and now he's calling it out. Before being fired, Smalls was placed in quarantine by Amazon after coming into close contact with a fellow employee who had tested positive for the virus, the respiratory disease caused by the C virus. According to WABC TV, the worker was sent home Tuesday when she showed symptoms of the virus, but was allowed to return to work on Thursday prior to receiving the results of her tests, which were conducted Wednesday. Now that brings like an interesting point up. Okay, so this person sent home and they got the test results and they were allowed to return. So either one of two things happened here at this point on Amazon's part. Either the test came back positive and they let this employee return to work even though she had tested positive for the case, or she tested negative for the case, in which case they have no reason to fire Smalls because he didn't come into contact with anyone with the virus. You see how full of BS Amazon is sometimes? Following this, Smalls expressed his concerns over the company allowing the employee back for being tested. Okay, so she was tested. And Amazon said, yeah, come back to work. You know, that is a bigger issue than Small being in contact with this person and then coming back. If anything, he's following the company's example. Quote, she already had time to spread it. Her friend caught it. Her friend with a third case. She tested positive, and she's a supervisor in the pack department. And the pack department is right before the items go out the door to the customers. It's dangerous. I agree. It's totally dangerous. And Amazon is trying to pretend this doesn't exist. They're trying to pretend this doesn't exist. Smalls planned the one-day walkout while in quarantine, which he then attended at the Staten Island warehouse. In an email sent to Newsweek, an Amazon spokesperson explained that Smalls was fired for violating the company's social distancing guidelines. Amazon are clearly not enforcing themselves. So anyway, that's all we have to do about that one. Let's move on to this next story real quick, because this is where it's going to get a little interesting. Because in response to all of this, Amazon says it may fire workers who violate social distancing guidelines. And Amazon said it may begin firing employees who intentionally violate the company's social distancing guidelines despite complaints from workers who say the demands of their job make it impossible to comply with the policy. The announcement marks the latest step by the e-commerce giant to keep its operations functioning amid a crush of demand for essential supplies. More than a dozen Amazon facilities in the United States have been hit by the virus, leading to concerns about Amazon's ability to protect its frontline workers who are among the most vulnerable. And as we saw with the other story, hey, they're letting people who tested positively come back to work, so they're clearly not concerned about it at all. Quote, we've had some instances of employees intentionally violating our clear guidelines on social distancing at our sites, which endangers both the individual and their colleagues. So on second documented offense, termination may occur. Now, this is not something that I think they're going to enforce very strongly, to be honest, because they need their workers. I think what they're doing is this is a response to the second strike, saying like, see, we are doing something. We're actually monitoring the employees. But here's the thing, long term, this is like a really bad thing. Like Amazon is already known for like being a numbers crunch, stress machine. Like how you have like that little timer and it beeps and people have nightmares about that beep. And they're just walking back and forth and they're always stressed. And Amazon does more monitoring of warehouse employees than any company I can think of. And what are they going to be doing? Oh, guess what? They're going to be putting cameras now. They're going to be now monitoring the employees even more. Now, what happens when this thing is over? They're going to keep those surveillance in place and they're just going to put the pressure on the employees more. This long term, this is going to hurt them more. And again, they're letting people with the virus back into the warehouse of their own validity. So I don't even think that they're going to push this very hard themselves. And on a final note, this was actually breaking. That's why there's a cut in the video. But this just broke. Amazon's Jeff Bezos questioned by U.S. senators on the C virus-related firing of warehouse protest leader. Now, I have not read this article, so we're gonna be looking at this. But let's look. 5 Democratic lawmakers on Wednesday wrote Amazon.com Inc. to raise concerns about its firing of a worker who protested warehouse operations during the C virus pandemic, according to a copy of the letter seen by Reuters. The letter, addressed to Chief Executive Jeff Bezos, adds to public scrutiny Amazon is facing over the dismissal at a time when the company is racing to update safety protocols, keeping warehouses open, and ship essential goods to shoppers who are shut indoors. Amazon employee Christian Smalls came to... Well, anyway, so let's see. Do they have so here's... in Wednesday's letter, senators led by Cory Booker, who, I'm not going to lie, I actually kind of like Cory Booker, questioned the order of the events. They cited a media report suggesting that Smalls' 2-week quarantine may have come after Smalls had begun organizing their colleagues to demand more workplace transparency. The quarantine should have ended 5 days before the protests based on a possible March 11th exposure, the letter said, citing the media report. According to the letter, the right to organize is the bedrock of our economy, responsible for many of the greatest advances achieved by workers over generations, the letter said. Amazon has said it fired Smalls because it put others' health at risk. Yeah. So anyway, so senators are definitely not buying this. They are not buying this at all. They believe that Smalls' firing was retaliation. I tend to agree, not only because of the suspiciousness of the timing and everything, but because that's just what Amazon would do. Amazon looks like a fool, and they don't like looking like a fool, and as a result, they will do what they can to retaliate. But anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. There was actually a lot to cover in this one. You had the protest, you had the surveillance, and now we have the senators actually getting on Amazon's case for firing this employee. I hope that it works out well for them in the long run. Anyway, that's where we are going to leave this video. What do you think? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, blame responsibly. Have a good one.